welcome Tom Summary. You'll know that I'm here, and your white privileges are going to save you tonight, okay, guys?
Any government is to monopolize as much violence as possible in order for it to inflict it on as many citizens as possible.
I've been on this like weird anarchist arc for a few months now. This is playing by their rules exactly how they are written, and it's
This is
working.
Rebecca DePietro, former WWE diva, Playboy model, and Miss Hawaiian Tropic 2006. Shit, that was a long time ago. You're watching The Dog and Chicken Show. Like, share, subscribe.
That's right. It's time for The Dog and Chicken Show.
Well, welcome one and all to the Dog and Chicken Show here at Big Buckin' Empire. It's poultry free and apparently free of the one and only Tony G, just for the introduction, folks. But do not worry, they will be here soon. But folks, in the meantime, I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil KOE, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower, the Lord of the Scottish Highlands, one damn handsome man, if I do say so myself, the conqueror of the ethereal, the impresario of extreme, if you will, this evening, folks, the Khan of KOE. My kingdom expands, folks. Welcome. We've got a lot to cover this evening, folks, and yes, finally, I'm getting word on my computer that my internet's finally getting better to you folks, but welcome one and all. And let me just make sure for a moment here. Are you getting word on my computer that my internet's finally? Oh, there you go. You're getting two fills for the price of one. But folks, thank you for being here. Big Buckin' Empire on Facebook, Big Buckin' Empire YouTube, Dog and Chicken Show on YouTube. We are also Big Buckin' Entertainment on Twitch. Be sure to check us out. And folks, as you can see in the little down there crawly part, we're also doing a subscriber drive for a bunch of great YouTube channels, all of them that you need to really check out. I mean, of course, you've got KOE Nation, which you can now find not only on YouTube, but on Twitch and TikTok now. KOE Nation on TikTok, but also in the down here, Big Buckin' Empire, Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, Yanked Up Podcast, Dad's Worldwide, Norwalk IRL, Dog and Chicken Show. Be sure to check out every one of those on YouTube, folks. We're going to do a subscriber drive for the first hour here on the show here on Big Buckin' Empire. So, folks, without further ado, first, the reason why Tony G is not here, do not worry, folks. It's perfectly good reason. His wife and children who were grocery shopping, they had a dead car battery, and no one was there to give him a jump. So, Tony, you know, with just like, you know, superhero, like Captain America, like Superman, just jumped right out, jumped right up, and went up to save. So don't worry, he's doing a full babyface turn here, folks, but eventually he's going to jump in for the hot tag, but worry not. So, folks, if you got any questions about anything in the Kingdom of Extreme or within the Big Buckin' Empire, let us know in the comments is the best place to do it. And also, we got a lot to get into tonight. The first one that we're going to get into is just, we kind of have to touch on the election, don't we? New Jersey didn't go the way that a lot of folks did. Virginia, holy hell. That one just completely flipped. And so I've got actually an article here that I usually turn to here, folks. And this is CNN's The 8 Takeaways from the Tuesday election. Now, take a drink of my iced tea. And the glasses of extreme have now come on. Yes, folks, the glasses of extreme are on. So here we are. First takeaway, Virginia had trended blue, and then Tuesday happened. Until Tuesday, also, I'll just be sure to give full credit in this article. This is by Eric Bradner, Gregory Krieg, and Dan Merica. So a tripartite experience here, a tripartisan experience. There we go. That's the way Jesse Ventura would put it. We have to go by a tripartisan solutions. And speaking of, the people demand it. Here we go. Phil KOE 2024, Tantui 10 man, you philosopher king, you. Yes, that is, because of this and many other reasons. That's why in 2024, I have announced my candidacy for the presidency of the United States of America in 2024. Do the right thing. Vote extreme. Heather says you'd vote for him. And obviously, you're probably talking about Phil KOE or Jesse Ventura. There was a time, I think, in polling data in around the year 2000, Jesse Ventura was actually polling more positive than either Bush or Gore in the election. So that's a moment to think about, that there was a time in American history where Jesse Ventura could have potentially been elected the president of the United States. And if you say, no way, I have 4 words. And it's the same 4 words that I have in response to anybody who says that I have no chance to be president. Fuck you, Donald Trump. Yeah. Didn't think he was going to win either, huh? Yeah. And now he's got 3 Supreme Court justice picks on this court. Yeah. And that's why when people say Jesse Ventura couldn't have won, fuck you, Donald Trump. And it's like, fuck you, Phil. You can't win. Fuck you, Donald Trump. Yeah. Nobody thought he had a snowball's chance in hell. And damn, we're still telling stories about them days. So Ronald Reagan. Now, Reagan, it's one of those things that's so funny that I found about American politics is absence makes the heart grow fonder. It truly does. Like, think about Republicans thinking back on Obama, Democrats thinking back on either Bush. It's kind of funny the way that things kind of shift, because like now, even for like most Republicans are like, gosh, Obama, geez, I guess he wasn't all that bad. It's kind of a weird thing that happens. And in about wait for another Republican administration to be in the White House, and then people, Trump, was he really that? Like, it's a weird thing that happens over time. And I suspect that like Trump, Obama, much will be the same. Biden, you can't really say, because that story's still being told. It's kind of like when I said my first presidential birthday toast for Trump. I said the story's still being told, so we don't really know where it's going to go. And then the next one was actually my most popular video on YouTube on KOE Nation. But yeah, so anyway, getting back to the 8 takeaways here. Virginia trended blue, and then Tuesday happened. I'm going to give my thoughts after I give this quick little reading here. Until Tuesday, Democrats dominated in Virginia. The party had full control of the state house, and President Joe Biden had won there by 10 percentage points only a year ago. McCaffrey, that's what I call him, and was governor from 2014 to 2018, tried to win his old job back by casting Youngkin, a milder-mannered former business executive, as Trump in a sweater vest. Instead, Youngkin pulled off a remarkable feat. He kept Trump's base while also cutting deeply into Democrats' advantage with suburban voters who still dislike Trump. Youngkin won 17% of the voters who said they disapprove of Trump, exit polls showed, compared to McCaffrey's winning of 5% of those who approve of the former president. Youngkin also proved more likable than Trump. 52% said they viewed him favorably, compared to Trump's 42% and McCaffrey's 45%. While McCaffrey also tried to turn the race into a national referendum, Youngkin focused much more on narrow and local issues, pledging to repeal the grocery tax, suspend the gas tax, and jumpstart the state's economy. Perhaps most importantly, he tapped into the brewing culture war over education. He He appealed to conservatives steeped in the right-wing media ecosystem by promising to ban critical race theory, which isn't taught in Virginia schools, to end coronavirus-related school shutdowns and mask mandates, and to launch an expansive charter school program. He also won over moderates by pledging an education budget with money for teachers' raises, a core theme in his television ads, and special education. It turned into a coalition that could carry Youngkin to victory. So, first thought here. Hey there, Tom. How we doing there, man? I didn't see you there. Just got back. Hey there, Tom. Good Lord Almighty gracious. Good old. So yes, Tomfoolery, also another channel you need to check out on YouTube. But Lordy B, how you been, man? How you been? Goodness gracious. I'm actually finally got done with harvest myself, and so I'm finally kind of getting back into the groove here. And as you can see, yes, once in a while, even the glasses of extreme must come on for me. You know, it happens to us all. Now, I must say I do look like damn dashing, but everybody has to admit that nobody's looks are enhanced by glasses, just some people's looks survive glasses is kind of always been my joke. Good, going live soon. Oh well, yeah, definitely definitely check out Tom. Now, not all of you, goodness gracious, but but yeah, I gotta know what happened. Is Tony gonna make it back onto this show at all, or is this just gonna be the Phil show? It's gonna be awesome. Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you. You rock a pretty good pair of specs yourself, sir. You're actually well known for the spectacles. So, hey there, Amber. Welcome to the show. So, yes, this is a poultry-free episode, but the but there you go, right there. I don't want to bring the whole thing, but cool. Thanks, man. But yes, folks. This is the election in Virginia, and do we think this is a bellwether for the potential midterms? Yes and no. The reason I say that is because you also have to realize this is a trend in Virginia elections. The last 8 election cycles, Virginia's governor, that seat was won by the opposite party of whoever occupied the White House. So this could be a giant signal of things to come in the midterms, or it could just be Virginia doing what Virginia does. And this is just something they do. So it's one of those, is it something, and I don't think you can really throw it out entirely, but I don't think you can put a tremendous amount of weight into just Virginia because like I said, but New Jersey's a little telling. New Jersey's also a little telling, but I'm going to get to that here a little shortly. But yes, on top of all of these great YouTube channels that we're doing a subscriber drive for this hour. So if you're watching, if you're listening, definitely go and subscribe to all of these following YouTube channels. Of course, KOE Nation, which I'm also now on TikTok, KOE Nation on TikTok and KOE Nation on Twitch. Big Buckin' Empire, Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, Yanked Up Podcast, Dad's Worldwide, Norwalk IRL, Dog and Chicken Show, and the Tomfoolery Show. So be sure to check all of those out, folks. But yeah, in my opinion, Jesse Ventura, like we were talking about him earlier, he always said, well, hey there, Justin Chris of the Yanked Up Podcast in the house, actually. Jesse Ventura years ago talked about in his book, Do I Stand Alone? Which, I do a damn good Jesse the Body Ventura impression. And I'm stealing this joke, but it's a great joke. If I'm elected president, not only will we have straight marriage, gay marriage, but the government will also recognize lifelong tag team partnerships. I'm sorry. That's a that would happen at some point. Oh, Lord, I couldn't help myself. Now, let's be frank. The party that holds the governor's house of any particular state, that gives that party a bit of an edge in the next presidential cycle. So Virginia's back in play. The Clinton machine doesn't own Virginia anymore, but let's be frank, the Clinton machine hadn't really been in power for some time now, has it? Probably not. A favor from the Clintons probably ain't worth what it used to be, if I had to guess. So McAuliffe or McAuffle, however you want to say it, I don't think it was going to last for all that long. So, started talking about the Clintons, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm out. I didn't even hear this. Nope, I'm not even. Nope. Later. I don't even hear what you're saying. Nope. Oh, don't worry. At this point, they probably could just get you beat up behind the parking lot. I'm kidding. Jesus Christ. These are jokes, people. It's like the Joe Rogan. These are all jokes, people. Jesus Christ. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. The next point here, let me take a drink of tea here. And I agree with this one wholeheartedly. Republicans can focus on economy and education. Republicans across the country were watching Virginia for lessons that could apply to races for governor, the House, and Senate in next year's midterm elections. And some party operatives credited Youngkin with showing what could work. Youngkin's personal wealth, which can't be easily replicated, helped. He was able to define himself in television advertisements before McAuliffe, who could morph him into Trumpkin, but his message focused on state level steps he would take on crime, the economy, and education could work across the map. One GOP strategist said, particularly if Biden continues to face a weak economy and a stagnant Capitol Hill. In addition to defining himself early, Youngkin tapped into economic issues that have emerged during Biden's presidency and did so without reminding voters of Trump. Education was a particularly salient issue in Virginia for Youngkin. The strategist said other issues, such as immigration, might play that role in other states. Of course, the most important question for Republicans in 2022 may be whether candidates in Youngkin's mold, with the ability to build their own brand separate from Trump, can survive primary contests against fierce Trump allies who might be dragged down by their allegiance to the former president in general elections. Now, CNN's trying to portray this as a much bigger liability than I think it would actually be. Again, they'll take whatever endorsements they can get, really. So I could see that actually in the end, there's a big coalition to be had there of former Trump voters and also moderate Republicans. There is. You just got to have the right guy. DeSantis is a guy that every week he looks a little bit better. He looks like, I don't know what to make of it. And like, even if you disagree and you think he's, DeSantis is, rapscallion ne'er-do-well and no good, if that's what you think, I get it. But you also have to understand he's playing the persuasion game very well. So we'll see where now, again, 2024 is an eternity away in politics. Okay, like 2022 is tomorrow, though. That's the funny thing. Now, when it comes to the economy and education, Republicans always poll much better in the economy. They just do. Like when you ask the average voter, who do you trust more on economics? They generally say Republican, like it or up, down, left, right. Take your pick, really. When it comes to like healthcare, the Democrats poll tremendously well. I don't know if they're going to this next time around, because I think one of the big things that cost Trump in 2020 was the fact that he didn't do anything on healthcare. And I think one of the big things that's going to cost the Democrats in 2022 is they haven't delivered anything on healthcare. And I think that's going to cost whoever's sitting in the White House dearly in 2024 for not delivering anything on healthcare. I think we're seeing a theme here. I don't know. But yeah, the Republicans can also really concentrate on education, because here's something that every Republican voter worries about. What the fuck are these classrooms pumping my kid's head with? And yeah, that's what every parent worries about. If you don't worry about that a little bit, you're not in the fucking game. I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah, you got to be at least a little worried. Like, if that worry hasn't fallen into your head once, like that's one of those Jesus priorities, folks. But All right. So yeah, that one's gonna poll tremendously well. The Republicans are gonna just ride that one all the way to the bank. Hey there, Yanked Up Studios. Check out Yanked Up Studios on Facebook, a great Facebook group where some of us we just sometimes drop memes and like if I got a new YouTube video, I'll drop it there as well. So yeah, just a greater umbrella under the big bucking empire and the KOE nation. Yes, yes. An ally, if you will, of the KOE nation. So yes, yes. So I think if Republicans just hammer home this education thing and education, and oh my God, what are they teaching your kids in school? And look at the debauchery and just the awfulness of what's being taught in these schools today. It's a winning message, and they're going to ride it to 2024. And they're like the Republicans, if they're able to expand their majority in the Senate in 2022, I'm going to be amazed, because I thought if Trump would have won in 2020, if he would have secured re-election, the Senate map would be devastating for Republicans in 2022. But now that Biden's been in there and he's been messing up to the level that he has, 2022 could be devastating for the Republican or for the Democrats. But again, we've got a full year. A lot can happen in a year. Rev Res Pod on Twitch says, and definitely check out Rev Res Pod on Twitch. It's also how you can reach the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast if you're a Twitch user. Republicans should change from an elephant to a teddy bear, really geared towards those newborn potential. Yeah, it's one of those weird, like the donkey and the elephant. Just kind of weird that those two got the, like, out of the whole meeting. Like, really, the donkey and the elephant, huh? Okay. And it's just stuck. It's just stuck. You can't get rid of it at this point. And I bet if you even tried, like, there would be there'd be like legal reasons. Like, no, the copyright lasts for another 72 years. Like, there would be like some legitimate reason they'd be like, no, we cannot change the donkey and the elephant. You don't get it. Like, so I'm wondering what that grand, oh, great spider reason is. But yeah, so that's very interesting. Now, God, this is something that I want to get into a little later. And if any of you are interested, it's something I've been putting together in my mind. It's, as a Republican, I know how, like, the Democrats want to get this Medicare for all. They want to get some sort of single payer national health care. And I know how they could do it. I know how they could make the sale. But it's just one of those, like, I don't know if they actually want it. So I'll get into that a little later. So if that's something if we have the time for it, we'll get into that, as I said, after a little bit more of this. Here's a big one. Voters have moved on from COVID-19. A year after Trump's denial and mishandling of the coronavirus pandemic was the dominant story in American politics. Wow, that was a loaded fucking first half of a sentence. Jesus. I don't think you could load a sentence more. Okay, back to the article. The pandemic appears to be fading as a driving factor at the ballot box. Jesus, like, I gotta I didn't know you could load that much into so few words. That's well done. I gotta, even if you don't agree with that, just in terms of just like sophistry, it's like, wow, well done. And for those who don't know, Socrates, his greatest villain and his greatest opponent was the sophists, so people that through their eloquence could make the worst seem the better cause, could convince you that the thing that's actually destroying you is the thing that you need to be heralding as your own salvation. And that was a sophist. And that's this is beautiful sophistry. And also you need to be able to examine persuasion when it's there. But back to the article. In Virginia, just 14% of voters said the coronavirus pandemic was the most important issue facing the Commonwealth. Exit polls showed that trailed the economy 33%, education 24%, and taxes 15%. And while McAuliffe won 83% of the votes of those who said coronavirus is the most important issue facing Virginia, he lost to Youngkin by double digits among those who identified every other issue as paramount. So that's another one that you need to keep in mind, that some voters are kind of moving on from COVID. It's not going to be the defining issue. Like, yeah, COVID, lack of toilet paper. Like it happened to Carter. There was lines for gas. Now people are struggling for toilet paper. Now every fucking presidential year, there's going to be some shortage of fucking something that the media is going to try and fucking stir up a panic so they can get somebody out of office. Look for that. And also, I say lack of health care. Like, he didn't have, if I already listed that one, but I think, yeah, lack of health care, toilet paper. Those are the two big reasons why, unfortunately, Trump didn't secure the right amount of votes in the right places. Yanked up studios. So as the world turns, did we as Americans really just make the wages go up because of the stimmies? So now no one wants to work unless they get at least 17 an hour. Only reason I ask is that a lot of places closing due to short staffing. God, yeah, we're in a really fucking weird crunch, aren't we? Like, we're in this odd plateau in the economy. So people, and we're now just starting to acknowledge the fact that there's inflation, and we're utilizing the, cost of goods, the most basic measurement. We're not using inflation to measure inflation. You know who you are. But yeah, there's parts of the country I've noticed that they just act as though COVID's not a thing anymore. And then there's other parts where everybody's masked, everybody's very distant, and everybody's like still. It's very strange that we've got two very different and distinct cultures that are now emerging before our very eyes in America. Two new cultures post-vaccine, the maskers and the anti-maskers, if you will. Wow, that's one that just kind of hit me right now. And that's going to be something that we need to keep in mind, folks. Good Lord Almighty God. And actually, hang on here. We've got, for an unexpected run-in, we've got the one, the only. Hey!
Howdy. How we doing out there tonight?
Oh, we're doing just fine. I'm here at the Mill of Extreme, and all right, and we can hear you just fine. Nice.
Sweet.
So how are we doing there, sir?
Caught last word that Tony had to bail for a little bit, so I figured I'd fill in for a buddy, and I'm sorry I don't have much to drink tonight. I'm gonna go full sober.
Yeah, it happens. I'm just drinking tea this evening myself, just because.
I mean, we're poultry free, we're dog free. It's dog and chicken show without the dog or the chicken.
I know, and actually
on my phone. Sorry.
And we've been doing a YouTube subscriber drive. But what is your TikTok, sir?
Oh yeah, that would be West Lynn, the number 4. That's yeah. I've got over 100 followers now.
Oh shit, yo!
I know.
Damn.
That's 100 more than I had when I started.
Yep. And hey, we got Ursama in the house. Yep. That's, like I said, like, Lynn, I'm curious, like, this right before you came on, there was just that thought that just like hit as like my Sin City moment, and then it hit me like a kick in the nuts. Damn it. After this COVID thing, we have two distinct cultures that are rising in America. That's going to look very different from what was before. And do you think there's going to be far-reaching implications to that?
As far as the two types you got to describe is, like, are you going vaxxed and unvaxxed, or people that love freedom and those who are opposed to just do whatever the government says?
Well, like I said, like, I've noticed this, like, is in like small town, little America here, I've noticed, and even like some of the larger towns, people generally, they've acted as though it's not even a thing anymore. and it's just like life's kind of back to normal. You can buy tickets at a movie theater, you can go to a restaurant, you can go. People are having concerts again and going to shows, and then there's certain places that you go where everybody's still masking, everybody's still distancing, everybody's still, and it's really weird to see that there's these two different experiences now being brought in 2021 America. Like, it's just like, for people who think that's awful or that's great or what, I'm not really making a value or moral judgment one way or the other, because everybody's made their decisions and they don't know if it's the right one. They're not 100% sure. Nobody's 100% sure. But it's very fascinating to watch these two distinct cultures arise from it. And I wonder, what's our country going to look like 20 years from now as a result of, like, you know what I mean? Like, cause you and I, we've had the benefit of like getting to see culture evolve over at least like a 15-20 year period and actually be actively able to see it. So it's one of those things that it's been racking my mind in the last 5 minutes, really.
Well, yeah, I guess we've done this change in culture once already before in our lifetimes, and I mean, prior to 9/11, shit was different, you know? And then after 9/11, a lot of things changed, yet, and they got weirder and weirder. In the last 20 years, it's really gotten weirder. But I've seen culture shock as far as like the whole nation changed overnight. And then I've done this whole last year, the culture's changed slowly. And so this is different from the last time, but either way, yeah, culture is completely changing over.
Well, yeah, I remember 9/11. What died on 9/11 was the sanctity of a woman's purse. You remember, like, before 9/11, you would never fucking, like, not, I don't even think like your county sheriff would even dare to look through an old woman's purse. But now, like, after 9/11, like, no, I'm looking right through every like, yeah, that was something that I'd noticed, that after 9/11, the sanctity of a woman's purse was last call on that 9/11. And now COVID, like you said, but now that took a year. That, like, 9/11 was one day and everything fucking changed after that. This COVID thing, but that it's a new realignment.
It's constantly evolving and changing the way people are just living day to day. My personal experience would be the fact that I'm in Missouri, right? And we did the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And I swear, the small communities that we were living in, I mean, I'm not going to talk about Kansas City or St. Louis or Springfield. Obviously, they went full city style. They did everything everybody else was doing in the media. But when it came to the smaller areas of Missouri, it was business as usual. Bars opened back up 2 weeks later, and it was like nothing ever happened. Walmart had some mask issues for a while, and now they're not even, nobody's wearing masks anywhere. Not in the whole, like, unless you're in Kansas City or like St. Louis. All the other fucking places you go to, it's just, it's like, yeah, we already dealt with this COVID stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's complete change. But you go to a city and then you look around and you're seeing everybody else is all masked up. And I'm like, we haven't done that in like a year. What the hell's going on here? And it's like, this is weird. But then I live in a military community, so I'm on post. As soon as you go on post, it's mandatory to wear a mask inside a federal building. So we're right back at it. And the only thing different in the state, as far as schools go, the school buses are federal, so they have to mask up in the school bus. But some schools are wearing masks in them, and I'm not going to say which schools are and one are not, but there's some schools that are not.
Yeah, and like now the other strange thing that I've noticed is like school age children. Some of them they actually prefer wearing the mask in certain social situations. It's something that I like, because like for folks our generation, like nobody likes it, they'll just begrudgingly wear it. Or like in some instances, I've noticed like folks are like a politically virtue signal. Like I even like one of my favorite guys in professional wrestling, Jim Cornette. He's got a great podcast, but he says, I don't give a fuck. I will wear a mask for the rest of my fucking life so long as nobody makes the mistake that I'm a goddamn Republican. Like he's actually said that, which is pretty like, I'll give you okay. He's got his views, but usually most people begrudgingly. But some of the kids, like, it's almost like a security blanket, and I'm wondering what
Yeah.
that's. Yeah, you want to talk about far-reaching psychological effects?
And it's the other weird thing is I did come back to I came back to the homeland of Nebraska here about a month ago maybe. I don't know. I get back, I start I go to the local bar, and I'm talking to some people I haven't talked in a long time with, and these are people that I thought were just the hardcore conservative types. And I'm sitting in the bar and we're talking about vaccines and whatnot. And I was just kind of saying, hey, I'm just still kind of waiting. I was, pretty undecided at that point, and saying, well, until they actually force me into doing it, I don't think I'm going to get it. And I had these people that I thought were just not going to get it were like, why haven't you got it yet? Oh my God. And just everything that the news were saying, they were just repeating, gotta, it's all about the numbers and blah, blah. And I'm like, holy crap. What happened to the community?
That's starting to feed into this analysis that just like hit me like a ton of bricks is that, that person you're talking to is now a member of that other culture.
I did not think that would happen.
Like they're like, and I don't know how else you can put it. Like, if somebody's got better terminology for it, but it's just it. Again, I'm sure somebody's be like, yeah, don't formulate new ideas live on stream, but no, I think there's actually something to this one, and so that one I'm fascinated by. And like I said, we've been talking about the different effects going forward, and like this thing has divided friends and family in a way that nothing has before. Like I've never seen it divide families. Like, did you ever think you'd see that? Like, just this one thing has been able to just cut some very definitive lines.
I've had family members on Facebook like to argue a little bit, and
well, that's what I thought.
Like, and it wasn't just about politics this time. It just all had to do with this COVID shit. And I'm like, wow, okay. There's a hill, and they're all willing to die on it. And it doesn't matter which side you're on, you're going to die on that hill for that. And I'm like, can't we all just agree to disagree? But no, you're a murderer if you don't listen to my ideology, and you're a dumbass if you don't listen to my ideology.
Yep. Now, I originally got onto Facebook under the impression that was somewhere that you would like connect with friends and family and such. What I found out, it's a place where people argue about politics and either A, post memes to indicate that they're happy, or B, post memes to indicate that they're sad. So that's what I found out. That's actually Facebook at this point. But actually, like, just what we're talking about here, Heather's got a great, like, I'm going to read this one. This is from Heather. Yeah, we are not having family over for the holidays for the first time like ever, all because we are not vaccinated. Wow. So there we go. Like, just a listener right here at Big Bucket Empire and the Dog and Chicken Show is kind of confirming what I just said.
Yeah, it's not because you're not vaccinated. It's because you're a murderer. I'm sorry.
Allegedly. But, well,
sorry.
Again, like, this is one of those things I never thought I'd like. Families, like we're seeing, are being divided. And so that's going to be the definition of the two new cultures going forward. Yeah. And I wonder how it's, because eventually there's going to be a line of machination that has to be drawn. Another one of those great words I don't get to use often. But we need to find, like, we all have to in the end live with each other, like whether we like it or not. Like, the vaccinated, the unvaccinated, the maskers, the no maskers are eventually all gonna have to live with each other. Now, what was kind of funny is there's actually a story just today that some folks went down the river in a 3-day trip down to an isolated, almost, they put in quotes, forgotten tribe in the Amazon to give them vaccines for the coronavirus.
Did they get killed?
Well, they were like, we've never heard of this. And my first thought is probably the biggest risk of them getting it, considering they're a 3-day boat ride away from anybody, was all y'all who showed up in the boat wanting to vaccinate. Like I'm sorry, if anybody's got it, it's probably all y'all that just got off this boat here.
Yeah,
So
and it turns out they all the tribe ends up dying of influenza A, just because one of them had the flu, and it's just like they didn't have any immunities built
I
up for
hope
that
not.
either.
Jesus, like, but yeah, like to me, it's just like, just kind of seems like you could have just left sleeping dogs lie on that one, and it probably just worked itself out on that. Like they're 3 days away from anybody, but like why? Like now I get it, but at the same time, it's like, that's an odd story.
Didn't anybody ever learn of what happened to the Native Americans with smallpox? Is basically, you don't fuck with other tribes, and just if they're all by themselves and isolated, don't come and see them. You're gonna get them.
The thing
get
is,
them infected with something.
It turns out, like, when you look, there's actually been some pretty extensive study here. There's probably no evidence that smallpox was intentionally transmitted, but there was no. It's kind of like I mean, I think now in our era of coronavirus, we can see that like one person coming from another place bringing a disease spreads to a population, and it has the potential to spread like fucking wildfire if
China.
But yeah. Dang it. Like I've even told folks, like, I needed him to win. I don't have nearly as good of a Biden impression. I need Let me tell you, my Trump impression was the best. None was ever better, and I somehow got Mexico to pay for it.
And the only thing I got Biden was is truly international pressure.
That's you got that one. Me, I always try, but it always just comes off as Jim Carrey's impression. And it's like, or it's just
I've been working.
Presidents.
I've been working on another one. It's my butt's been wiped.
Oh man, that was not good. That was now smallpox all over. Oh Lord Almighty God. So yeah, that was an interesting little side discussion on that. Now, curious, have you been keeping up with the elections that happened 2 nights ago?
I seen some wins that were Republican wins, and some places that shouldn't have had Republican wins. It was kind of surprising and shocking. But then I did see a video of the Virginia governor was being interviewed, I think, on Bill Maher, I believe, a couple of years ago, and he was talking about how these electronic voting things were all buggy, and he thought that the Republicans were getting too many votes, so he switched it all to paper, and that'll solve everything. So I think that kind of backfired, and the paper votes actually worked out. And yeah.
Whoa. All right, there we go. Yeah, last night did not go well for the Democrats, and there's one I've been wanting to pull up, and here it is. New Jersey Senate president loses to GOP truck driver in shock upset. And I'm gonna read through just a little bit of this.
$153 guy.
Yeah, New Jersey State Senate president just lost re-election in a shock upset to a Republican challenger who spent less than $200 on his campaign. Edward Durr, a Raymore and Flanagan truck driver, defeated New Jersey Senate President Steve Sweeney in the state's 3rd legislative district. The Associated Press projected Thursday. It was a stunning defeat for Sweeney, who has served as New Jersey's Senate president for more than a decade. Durr, the AP reports, spent just $153 on his campaign, and the Washington Free Beacon writes nearly half of this went to Dunkin' Donuts. He has no experience holding elected office. Sweeney's defeat, which after a New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy narrowly won re-election, is a surprisingly tight race, was emblematic of the predicament facing Democrats in suburban and exurban communities. The New York Times wrote, noting Sweeney's district has, quote, reliably elected a Democrat since its creation in 1973. So, and it goes on, I joked with people and I said, I'm going to shock the world. I'm going to beat this man, dirtoldnewjersey.com. I was saying it, but really just kind of joking, because what chance did a person like me really stand against this man? He's literally the second most powerful person in New Jersey. So this guy somehow fucking pulled it off. I got to give this man credit.
Idea.
I love stories like that. I'm sorry, it's just fucking great. And this guy spent nothing. And last time around, this Sweeney guy and the guy he's running against, they spent $24 million on their reelection campaign, and he just eked it out. And so this guy's like, if I just go to the right places, he only wins by about 30,000. So the numbers are there to take him, and he took him because
Isn't
there's
that just odd how much money they spend to get reelected for a job that doesn't pay nearly a quarter of that, or even a small fraction of that? It's the power, it's the persuasion, it's everything involved. I don't know.
Power. I'm convinced political power clearly has to be as addictive as a drug, because you've seen the severe withdrawals people go through when they lose political power. Like I've even seen some, or actually even heard a couple of lectures on people saying that having a certain level of political power will actually change the dopamine structure of your brain. And so, yeah, so these people are literally addicted to power in some instances.
But yet, then again, some of them show up and they're not worth much. And then once they get into office, by the time they're out of office, they're multimillionaires. And they didn't really do much as far as, how did they make that money? Well, it's all in investing in certain things. Well, they just happen to know exactly what to invest in. It's like Nancy Pelosi, for example. It's like, she's got a lot of money. And her husband keeps investing, but,
I do love that meme about, it's not even a meme. It's a bunch of TikTokers that all they do is they invest in whatever Nancy Pelosi's invested in.
Yeah. And they're making bank.
Yeah, they're fucking killing it. So, hey, wait a minute. We got the Canadian dude. One of our longtime fans. Hey, boys, wish I could stay. I'm going to live selling some toys in a bit here. Okay. Selling toys. Wow, so many questions. But
you gotta sell toys. Christmas is coming. And
good luck to you,
it's another style of toys, but Christmas is coming for that too.
I mean, hey, turns out that there was a reason why there was a naughty and nice list. But oh Lord, yeah, that would be. I'm just trying to think of all the Christmas sales he could do.
Right. It's the most wonderful time of the year, they say.
You do live toy auctions. All right, cool. Now, when it comes to that, like, it always fascinates me because it's a market kind of driven on nostalgia. You know what I mean? Like vintage Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask, was he trying to sell like a Boba Fett with the rocket on the back, something
Boba
like that?
Fett.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, there's a pretty good market in that. I mean,
I've been looking for it because turns out I've got an old Boba Fett Lego minifigures somewhere that's worth like $800, but I can't find it. Like, I remember I even let my daughter play with it years ago. Like, here you go. I mean, it's not like it's gonna be worth $800 someday or anything. You're like,
Yeah. My brother had like an old school Pee Wee Herman doll from like the late 80s. And it was one where you pull the string and he'd be like, Yeah, I heard that now if it was still in the box and still, it would be worth a buttload of money. And
yeah, but who leaves them in the box? I mean,
yeah.
Now, also, I'm adding Canadian dude to this hour's YouTube channel drive. Definitely check out the Canadian dude. God bless you, and I hope we'll try our best to stay sane. I make no guarantees or promises, though.
I haven't been sane ever, so.
Your husband can't know about it. It's one of those things like I want to do this next time I get onto one of the Prime panels, and if I get back on with counterpoints. Connor, he always like builds these Warhammer 40K models while he's debating you. And I want to do that's just, can you believe just how silly and adolescent that is when you're doing such a thing? And I just like pick up like a Lego model and I'm putting it together. Like, why would you do such a thing? Like, I mean, come now. The Bible teaches you that there's times to put away such childish things.
or just use a fidget spinner.
Yeah.
Or try to solve a Rubik's Cube or something.
Oh God, no! No, I'm not going to try that. That would be embarrassing for me. Because it's I don't know what it is. It's just some people with certain levels of spatial reasoning just get the Rubik's Cube immediately, and for other folks, it takes a while.
I just pulled all the stickers off and then put them all in the colors. Called it good. I'm a cheater.
No, that's a no. That's a. I liked the joke about like, it's pretty easy when you learn how these things work. You know how one of these works, and he picks up and he just like spins the top one time. Yeah, it works like that. God damn it. Oh Lord Almighty. So, Lynn, oh God, I gotta ask, sir, how I've been editing a lot of videos and I've noticed you got a recipe for red beer. Are you going to be slamming any of those for any of the Husker games coming up here soon?
Maybe next year. Now I'm gonna say this, and I'm probably the worst Husker fan ever. I have not seen more than 10 minutes of a Husker game this year at all. And from what I gather, I haven't missed much anyway, so it's cool.
I've been having my fun with Tony because I know Tony's a big Husker fan, and I'm pretty good at cutting a pretty mean promo if I want to. But I got to go a little easy on the Huskers because they did give my nephew the sideline VIP treatment at the last game, and he got to sit in the VIP boxes, and he got to meet Herbie Husker and Little Red. I mean, that was a pretty big deal. And
yeah.
And it was a great time. And so I got to go a little easy on the Huskers. And Tony said, okay, Phil, if you want to truly prove yourself to be the actual super football predictor, predict the game that you think the Huskers have the best chance of winning. And I'm going to say Iowa. That's the game they got the best chance of winning. And I'm hoping I'll be pulling for them in the end. I mean, I'm still a Nebraska born and bred. I mean, look at the flag behind me. It's the Nebraska state flag. But I do got to say, throughout all harvest, it has been pretty fun getting to blow off steam on the Huskers and just piss off Tony with my perfect football prediction rate thus far, folks. 100% prediction rate. I mean, you don't have stock analysts with that level of prediction rates, folks. So yes, thus far. But yeah, Tony said if you really want to call yourself Mr. Now Ohio State.
Yeah, it doesn't look promising. I mean,
but I wish them well. I hope they do as well as they can. But I think Iowa's the one that they got the best chance.
If Nebraska loses to Ohio, then hopefully they make Ohio look bad. Just make it a narrow, just a nail biter. And almost lose, kind of like Oklahoma, something like where they didn't look like they played like shit. So just give them a little promise. Hopefully, seems like they've been playing good against good teams, but just not getting the win and playing like shit against shitty teams. So,
and this is just a little dig at Tony Chicken. It's been a building year.
Yeah, it's a building year. It's been a building 10 years for me, but. But as far as my red beer goes, if you drink one of mine, I usually take the giant beer steins and I'll fill that thing up. And I mean, I use celery, I use green olives, I use spices like you wouldn't believe.
It looks like a full meal.
It basically, you drink one or two of those, you're full. You by halftime, you don't want to drink any more of my red beers. Your stomach will get bloated. You'll feel like yeah, you ate a full course meal. But it's so good, and I haven't heard anybody say that my red beers suck because they're pretty damn good. And but I can only drink two myself.
Well, it does
And,
sound like a meal in a glass, so that does kind of make
and
sense.
yeah, they do not get you drunk. I can tell you that because you're already full, and by that time you don't want to drink any more beer. So at the end of the night, if you watch the whole game and you drink two red beers, you're not even going to catch a buzz because your stomach ain't going to hack it. You're just going to be like, okay, but yeah, it's
Well,
fun.
that's something, folks, to keep in mind. Some potential to give some team spirit for the local Huskers, which, yes, I have been talking some mad shite about, but it's just been a great way to blow off steam this harvest and through all the trials and tribulations. And it, to be honest, like, Tony's been watching football for years, and it's just kind of funny to, like, I can call the games back to back, and he's like, "God damn it, fuck you, God damn!" Like that. That's just been too funny for me. And then I just like promo it, and Tony's like, "Phil, don't you goddamn dare promo!" And Tony's even one time in the Facebook side chat basically gave me the equivalent of, "Phil, who the fuck asked you?" It was too funny. Now I'm curious if Tony's. I don't think Tony's going to make it tonight. If the problem required anything more than just jumping the vehicle, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm quite curious, but that was now. Before I switch gears, is there any other major football update that the Big Buckin' Empire needs to know, good sir?
Oh no, when it comes to football updates, I'm drawing blanks myself. So I think pushing forth, onward and upward to the next topic. I'm down with it.
Okay, this is one that I need to just cover real quick here, folks. Oh shit, Tony G is gonna make it. All right, nice. Tony G, he is en route. He is en route, folks. Do not worry. Do not fret. The one and only Tony G will be here tonight. I feel like it's like the first hour of Raw, and they're like, "Will Brock Lesnar make it here tonight?" Yes, he will be here tonight. Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
where
and
you're
Paul
like
Heyman.
the UFC prelims or something that's free on Fox before Tony's like the pay-per-view part.
Paul Heyman is moving Brock Lesnar's getting here inch by inch, foot by foot, moment by moment, movement by movement. Yeah, it's great. Wait, Yanked Up Studio. Nothing like working on vehicles while listening to these smart man. Yes. Thank you.
With a question mark there at the end there, you dick.
Let me pull up the proper websites here. There we go. Yep. That's all I need to do is get to the top story. So I'm going to pull this one up. Share screen. Breaking news. There we go. So this is from nodq.com. Okay, so for those who follow professional wrestling, which you should on the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, another big round of releases here at WWE of some on-screen talent, and that includes Keith Lee, big time, that's big, Mia Yim, Nia Jax, which is The Rock's cousin, Eva Marie, Harry Smith, Grand Metalik, so he can finally go back to Mexico where he's a superstar, Lince Dorado, Frankie Monet, Scarlett Bordeaux, Ember Moon, who she's had the most TV exposure of anybody, Oni Lorcan, B-Fab from Hit Row, Jesse Camara, Zadia Raymer, Trey Baxter, Katrina Cortez, and G. Rama. This is according to Sean Ross Sapp, and yeah, so there you go, folks. Big names are now they're now back on the market. Keith Lee, the most decorated wrestler in NXT history, is now released right after his COVID-related COVID-related heart inflammation issues started to clear up. Now, Lynn, I'm sure you religiously watch the Revolutionary Wrestling podcast. Every single
Oh,
video, every single
yeah.
second, every single moment.
I click on it and then I go in the other room because I'm not really a big wrestling fan. But I give you the views. I give you the views.
Okay.
I do what
I'll
I
give you
can.
that.
But no, dude, I haven't watched wrestling since the like early to mid '90s, maybe. Whenever WCW was out and the NWO and the Wolfpack and all that shit, and Hollywood Hogan.
back because of mass
Yeah,
destruction.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so all right. So fair to say it's been a minute. So it's fair to say you're not a fan of anybody that I just listed.
I had no idea who the hell you were talking about. You might as well tell me names of chess players. I'd have been like,
really? Okay. So
like, all I know is Bobby Fischer, and you're over here like, yeah, The Rock's cousin. I'm like, okay, they're related. I know who The Rock is.
Yeah. And that's why I was so shocked. Nia Jax, I was shocked to see her go just because of that, because she's been able to pull a lot of shit that nobody else would get away with backstage, and it was all because she was The Rock's cousin. But looks like and I think this is what they do now is whenever they got one or two problem employees, they just put them in a group of like 10 and just release them all. And then they can't, like, it was just a budget cut release. It is what it is. What are you going to do? And this has been going on for a while, but this last one was pretty shocking to me. And the reason I bring this up, because this is a wider political idea, or not political, but entertainment and pop culture. I think WWE's getting geared up for a sale. They're either going to get sold to NBC or Disney. Those are the big players. Fox maybe, but probably not. I think Fox, or no, not Fox and Disney. Fox and Warner Brothers are still pretty well tied. So I really think you've got the potential for a big sale, $4 or $5 billion sale. Because Vince is not going to accept any less than that. So he can say he got as much or more as the UFC's last sale.
Basically what you're getting at is, like, if there's a big sale, then if you're going to watch a big pay-per-view in the next year or two, if it does go to some kind of sale, you'll have to subscribe to HBO Max. If they buy it, Warner Brothers buys it or something, or you'd have to get a Disney Plus account and buy a pay-per-view on the Disney Plus app. And it's going to be to the point where, like, nobody's going to have cable television anymore. They're all going to be using these streaming apps. And then collectively, they got so much content that you're going to spend the same amount you were paying your cable company on multiple different streaming apps that you always forget the password and don't know how to fucking turn off. And I had the damn CBS app for a year before I realized that I was paying like $6 a month for something just to watch the new Star Trek shit that was coming out. And it was boring and I didn't like it and I forgot all about it. And then I looked, and every month I was paying $6 a month for something I never watched ever. And so,
I had an ex tell me that she knew it was really over when I stopped paying for the Netflix. Like, no, sorry, cancel the Netflix. It's like, and that's when I knew it was over.
I was using Chicken's Netflix up until The Office stopped streaming, and he got rid of his Netflix and went to Peacock. So I'm like, wow, damn it, because there was like all your selective people that you're gonna have. It was Chicken, his wife, his son, and then it said my category. It said leeching brother, and it had a picture for me because I was the leeching brother, and yeah.
And I have to, according to Heather, that's smart on there. Well, yeah, the thing is, there's a guy that you need to keep your eyes on in the future. If for anybody that's ever thinking about investing any money, like this is not to be construed as actual investment advice, but something to just keep in mind. Just keep your eye on it. Keep it in your mind. There's a guy. His name's Nick Khan, Khan, Nick Khan. And he's basically been, in my opinion, he's been hired on by WWE to set it up and get it ready for sale. And that's why you're seeing talent getting cut. That's why you're seeing all these budget cuts. They're trying to get it into this nice pristine package to get it for a $4 billion sale. And then Vince is like, he thought he was going to go play football owner, but then the XFL went belly up. And
You picked the wrong year again.
well, yeah. What do you know?
That was like twice.
Worldwide pandemic that shuts down all live events. Let's start a football league. Shit. Really? And yes, yanked up. Let's go, Brandon. Oh, Ron DeSantis had the perfect, like this one was just in terms of persuasion. Beautiful. He called it the Brandon administration. It's just great up.
That's kind of funny, actually.
Just a heads up, I'm working on koozies. Tony G's, let's go. Nice yanked
Let's
up.
go, Brandon.
How we doing? Welcome, Tony G. Oh, Tony, come on. It looks like your evening's just been a box of fluffy doves.
No,
The hostess
not
with
even,
the
not
mostess.
even close. Not even close.
You mean it hasn't just been perfect?
Far from it, Phil. Far from it.
Oh. Well, so Tony, we've been covering many of things this evening. We got into the elections a little bit. Then we were talking about the two cultures that have arisen in our country post-COVID. I even said I'm going to go a little easy on the Huskers, unlike how I have the last few weeks. And you asked me, what's the game they got the best chance of winning? And I'm on record, online. The one they have the best chance of winning is Iowa.
Iowa.
Yep, that's their best chance, in my opine. Whether it comes through remains to be seen, but that's the one that I'm going to go out on a limb on. You know, they gave Oliver the sideline VIP treatment, so I kind of got to go a little easy on him, don't I? Like it'd be fucking really fucked up. And let me tell you something, you fucking pieces of shit, no good, ne'er-do-well. So I'm going easy on him this week. What? Yeah, well, yeah, that's a little more close. But now, Tony, well, what are you sipping on this evening? And give us an update as to how things went on your end. Our fans, our adoring public, it needs to know how the epic of Tony and the jumper cables went this evening.
Well, I just poured myself a healthy glass of Blanton's because fuck it.
Nice.
Much needed. Well, it's not going great. Yeah. I got off work late. And while I was still at work, she called me and told me, I got to go take one of the kids over to urgent care and probably get meds because, you know, ear infections are just always something that run rampant through my house because why not?
Oh, those go like a brush fire.
So when I get home, it's about, I don't know, 6:30, and she calls me about 6:45. She calls me and says, well, my car won't start. Fantastic. That's great. That's great news. That's fantastic. So I head out and tell Phil he's probably going solo. So I head up to York, and I have to run into Walmart because I don't have any jumper cables with me. So figure I'll just run into Walmart quick, grab a pair of jumper cables, and I'll just head on over and meet her. While I'm doing that, apparently I ran a red light.
Oh, God.
No.
So I got pulled over in the parking lot of Walmart. Actually, I was like 1 foot out the door of the car. And here's I get out the door and I see the cop's chair. He's like, what? Is this for me? What did I do? He comes up. Oh, just stay there. God damn it. Oh, you ran a red light. It looked yellow to me. Where are you coming from? Coming from Geneva. Heading to urgent care. Got to jump start the wife's car. First, I got to run in here, grab some jumper cables. All right, sit tight. We'll make this quick. Awesome. Comes back, gave me a warning. All right, excellent. Run in, buy some jumper cables, go over there, meet her. She's taking a second kid in because now his ear hurt from last night. Now it's hurting again. So she's in there again with him. So now it's too late for the prescription to go through. So I get her jumped. I head to Walmart to grab both prescriptions. They only have one prescription because the other one accidentally got sent over to Walgreens, who's now closed. And now so is urgent care, so we can't call them to tell them to get it fixed. So we got one prescription. Fantastic. Then I raced home after grabbing some Runza, and here I am.
God,
Is it at least 2 prescriptions of the same thing? That you just use the one and
Yes.
the okay, you're
Thankfully,
good.
yes.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Just
okay.
go back
that's
to
a
your
lot
other
of
That's
bottle
fun.
fine.
tomorrow.
All right. Right on the drive home, whoever behaves the best, they get the medicine. Kids like, yeah, that'd be kind of messed up. Like, oh God.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Pretty
get the
much.
medicine. Your brother? No.
Nope.
If
We're
I
gonna
hear
make
it crying, I will take the 2 mLs out of the syringe.
see that just getting squirted down the toilet, kid. Jesus Christ.
So,
Oh,
now one of you
Lord.
guys gets this nice stuff that tastes like bubble gum. The other one, shot of whiskey when we get home.
I miss the bubblegum stuff. Mm.
Oh, Lord.
That
So
was the best.
sounds like you had a lovely, lovely evening.
No.
Good
No,
Lord.
it's been god awful, but thank you. Could have been worse. Could have been worse.
Oh, damn. I mean, only marginally, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah.
But so, well, welcome to the show, T.
Thanks.
Goodness gracious. Now, we like I said, we've been covering a multitude of issues, and now curious. In my first of all, before we get into any other stories, my Husker predictions. Do you think I'm right or am I wrong?
In terms of winnability, statistically speaking, yeah, Iowa does look like the most winnable game there is because Iowa's a team that was ranked 6th in the country at one point during this season. They were undefeated. They'd beaten Penn State, who was also a top 5 team at one point. They looked like they were a legitimate contender. Everything was going great, and they've lost 2 in a row now. And if you look at any comments online from any of the Iowa Hawkeye faithful, you'd think they're having the season that Nebraska is having. And I'm just like, guys, it's 2 losses. You could have 5. You could have fucking 6 of them. 6 of them. You could have 6 of those motherfuckers. Guess what? You at least got those in the other column. So count your fucking blessings. But it doesn't look like Iowa's gonna regroup anytime this season. They're gonna win a couple more games for sure. They'll probably beat Nebraska. They've been doing a very good job of that in the recent years. So I have little doubt that they'll rebound from the 2 losses and probably get a decent bowl invite. But right now, it's still down to. It's still kind of a 3-horse race with Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin on who's going to end up winning the West Division. So I don't know. If you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said Iowa's a shoe-in. But now it does look like they've taken a step back and adjustments have to be made, and it's hard to say if they'll make them. But
Man.
out of the 3 opponents that Nebraska has left, we got Ohio State tomorrow, we've got Wisconsin after a bye, and then we do close with Iowa. And none of those 3 teams have been very kind to Nebraska on the field in the last several years. So really none of these look winnable. Right now, Nebraska's staring down the barrel of a 3-9 season, and I'll be shocked if they end up pulling a win out of their ass at this point. It doesn't look likely because the team that I watched play against Purdue was a team that completely gave up. Like, you could see it. The one that lost to Minnesota, that was an exhausted team physically. The one that lost to Purdue, that was an emotionally and mentally exhausted team, and you could just feel it. So I don't know. At this point, if they want to win bad enough, tomorrow or Saturday against Ohio State would be the time that they have to do it if they want to at least save an assistant coach or a coordinator coach's job. I don't know if Frost gets the axe even at 3-9, but it's pretty fucking likely for anybody else. So we will see. If I had to say they were going to win one more game at this point, yeah, Iowa would probably be the most likely, but I don't feel it. I feel like if they're going to pull one out of their ass, why not Ohio State?
Like that one would just like shock everybody. Like no one would even know what.
It wouldn't
like,
even shock me at this point
what's
because they're going
reality?
to lose to teams that they should not lose to. They're going to come up short against teams that they can beat. Nope, let's go out and fucking beat the Ohio State Buckeyes. Are probably going to win the conference like they always do. Yeah, let's just go beat them. We'll lose to the shitty teams that are just barely better than us. But yeah, we'll beat those Ohio State Buckeyes. They're okay.
Oh, Lordy. So that, folks, is just a little preview into Husker football. And then, we'll probably get into the bowl season, see what we got there. Okay. But yes, now, Tony, we were talking about the elections a little bit earlier. And while you're looking up the next topic, there's another thing I wanted to get into. What a lot of people don't know is this week, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments on 2 very important cases. One from New York and one from Texas. The New York case involves the Second Amendment, and basically this is going to be the case, and the decision will be coming down in the spring, but they heard the oral arguments, and this is one of the few times Clarence Thomas actually asked questions. He rarely says anything. He just sits and he listens, and he's, he bases his opinion on a lot of reading, but this time he asked a lot of direct questions, and this is one I think he wants to write the majority opinion on. And we will see just how expansive we get. Hey, Jesse West. We will see how expansive we get here in the spring on the Second Amendment. Now, the Texas one is about the 6-week heartbeat bill. And so this one session, Supreme Court's hitting guns and abortion in one fell swoop. So they're just going to find a way to, in one way or another, piss half of everybody off in the next 3 to 6 months is what's going to happen with those two cases. But I found that fascinating that in one fell swoop, the Supreme Court's hitting some really heavy hitting cases. And I know Supreme Court jurisprudence, is there any topic sexier? But
my nipples are hard.
Well, hey, in the last 10 years, both sides came to the realization holy shit, we have 10 or 9 kings that just kind of decide what life is now. So I guess we better care about the person who nominates them. So yeah, that's a thing now, unfortunately. But now, Tony G, are we ready for the next topic du jour this evening?
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we do, like I've mentioned before, folks, this evening we are in a YouTube page subscriber drive that's going to be ending at the supremely decide to smash that like button. Yes, but we need you also to subscribe to the following YouTube channels: KOE Nation on YouTube, of course. Big Buckin' Empire on YouTube. You better. I mean, if you're watching here. Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Yanked Up Podcast. Dad's Worldwide. Norwalk IRL. The Dog and Chicken Show. Also, if you're on TikTok, check out Westlin4 on TikTok. Tony the Rod 2.0 and KOE Nation also all on TikTok, folks. So, without further ado, Lynn, you look like you've got something you want to say.
I was awesome plugs. Good job.
You just not.
You got them all down. We're good to go.
He's just
yes.
not he's got.
I got to get 100. I got to get at least 120 followers by the end of the week.
Yes. So Tony, without further ado, I will hand it over to Tony fucking G for this next topic du jour.
All right, so I'm sure everybody's wondering what's going on with this. I am too, honestly. I haven't been able to pay any attention to this. I haven't been able to pay attention much anything this week. But Brendan Roy says, you guys killing it as usual. Tony, what? What does that say? Tony, good to see you in the studio. Well, I barely made it, Brendan. The boys in blue almost prevented me from getting here, but I made it. It's all good.
I can't help you. Police on my back. I can't do this. Police on my back.
I was thinking of a song about the police as well, but it was like NWA. And
no, not tonight.
What about the National Wrestling Alliance?
Yeah, straight from the underground.
Yeah, straight up. So yeah, the Kyle Rittenhouse case is under full swing apparently, and I'm eager to learn about this because I haven't been able to pay much attention to this all week, and apparently it's gotten a little interesting, and it's kind of lopsided from what I've been hearing. But we're going to learn a little bit about that right now. What I've got pulled up here is from the New York Times, so I'm sure this will be nice and all
completely
factual.
Impartial.
Yeah, totally impartial, not biased at all, right? I picked this one. Granted, there was a ton of articles I could have chose from, and they were all different. So there's a ton of stuff going on here. But this one says 4 takeaways from the Kyle Rittenhouse homicide trial. On the fourth day of the trial, jurors were shown graphic videos from the chaotic night in 2020 when shootings broke out after demonstrations in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I'm sure we've all seen the videos numerous times at this point, and as you can see in the picture, for those of you watching, they're showing some. Is this drone footage? Is that what we were led to understand? That this is drone footage of the people involved, Kyle and the other the shooting victims?
That's to what I'm to understand is that it was like either a drone or like helicopter footage.
Okay. Either way, aerial footage that kind of shows the placement of everybody involved in this incident. So this one's pretty telling, and this is footage that they've basically had since the beginning. Why is it just now coming out? It's so strange that this is something that they decided to hold back on. Because from what I've heard, this doesn't paint anybody else in a different light. Like, no new information was learned from this, but I will move on. Fourth day of the trial was marked by graphic video of the shootings on August 25th, 2020, and by an emotional testimony by a witness who was only feet away from Rittenhouse as he shot and killed Joseph Rosenbaum, one of 3 men who were shot that day. Prosecution called Richie McGinnis, the video director for the Daily Caller, a conservative news and opinion site. Ryan Balch, one of number of armed men, including Mr. Rittenhouse, who came to Kenosha after protests over a police shooting turned destructive, and Detective Martin Howard of the Kenosha Police Department. The 4 key points. The first one, the judge dismissed a juror. Judge Bryce Schroeder of Kenosha County Circuit Court began the day by resolving an issue that was raised the day before. A juror in the trial made a joke about Jacob Blake to a sheriff's deputy as the juror was being escorted to his vehicle this week. Thomas Bender, the prosecutor, asked the judge to dismiss the juror from the trial, saying the remark suggested that the juror, who was white, had racial biases. The demonstrations in Kenosha began after Mr. Blake, who is black, was shot by Rustin Chesky, a white police officer who was trying to arrest him. The joke, Mr. Bender explained to the judge, went something like this. Why did the Kenosha police shoot Jacob Blake 7 times? Because they ran out of bullets. Wow!
That was a guy trying to get out of jury duty.
That's exactly what I thought. Wow.
He knew damn well that was going to get him removed.
Say, you can't tell me that wasn't the end game right there. Come on, you know damn well.
I just read the joke when I sat down and I was like, well, okay. So
yeah.
Can I just get off this jury and be fired from every job from now on?
I was going to say, that is, wow. Yeah, successfully removed. Indeed, Big Buckin.
Now, wow. I'll never forget one time when I was called in for jury duty. I'm not going to say what, the who, what, when, where's, and whys, but I got called in for jury duty one time. And it was like, oh, no. I know the person. He probably did it. But that was besides the point. And one of the jurors that was selected was one of our old math teachers. And I'm not going to say who, but you'll know by the impression. It was just perfect. Like, I just don't know if I could convict if there's any doubt, not even a reasonable doubt. No. If there's any doubt, I don't think I could. You're free to go. Like, so yeah, you could tell he talked to the history teacher and like, what's a good way to get out of this?
So, moving along. I can't believe this was even like, honestly, if you want to punish the guy who was clearly trying to get out of it, you'd have made him stay. Judge, I'm just saying, come on. Judge Schroeder brought the juror, an older man, into the courtroom and asked if he'd made the comments, and he acknowledged that he had, but declined the request to repeat them in the open court. Juror said it was his view and his comments were unrelated to the trial. My feeling is it had nothing to do with the case, the juror said. It was really bad judgment to tell a joke of that nature, Judge Schroeder told him, and thanked him for his service. Well, that's admirable. How nice. Yeah, there's a bunch else here, but yeah, I think that pretty much sums that up.
Yep.
He didn't want to miss his granddaughter's 16th birthday or something, so something was coming up, and he's like, dude, I got to get out of this somehow.
Prior commitments. Sorry. What's a tasteless joke, I can tell. Here we go. hey Siri, give me a joke. Okay, perfect. Remember that for all you who get called into jury duty. All right, Key point number 2. A key witness to the shooting of the first victim testified. Well, that's a shock. Jurors on Thursday heard from a witness with a close-up view of the first of 3 shootings. Mr. McGinnis, the Daily Caller, testified that he saw Mr. Rittenhouse shoot Mr. Rosenbaum, 36, before Mr. McGinnis helped rush Mr. Rosenbaum to a hospital across the street. Mr. McGinnis is both a witness and a named victim. One of the criminal counts against Mr. Rittenhouse accuses him of recklessly endangering the safety of Mr. McGinnis, who testified that he quickly checked to see if he had also been shot. Mr. Binger, the prosecutor, has emphasized that Mr. Rosenbaum, who joined the demonstrations that night, was unarmed when Mr. Rittenhouse shot him. Mr. Binger also has attempted to create doubt about Mr. Rittenhouse's defense that he was only defending himself by raising questions about Mr. Rittenhouse's decisions that night. Mr. Rittenhouse had run down the street amid demonstrations with a fire extinguisher and a military-style rifle before the shootings began. Questioned about Mr. McGinnis testified, "It's not the way that I was taught to handle a weapon in a public place." Mark Richards, Mr. Rittenhouse's defense lawyer, suggested in his questioning that Mr. Rosenbaum had posed danger to Mr. Rittenhouse in the period before the shooting. Mr. McGinnis told jurors that Mr. Rosenbaum ran at Mr. Rittenhouse. My God, can we say their names any fucking more? Lunged at him and reached for Rittenhouse's gun before Rittenhouse fired. At one point, McGinnis stood up as he testified to demonstrate how Rosenbaum had lunged. Now, I think this kind of dips into what Chicken was giving us updates on earlier when he was getting to watch some of it. The prosecution is trying to raise doubt that he acted in anything other than self-defense. Like, obviously, he had malicious intent, right? That's what they're trying to say here. And he basically leads this long question along to the point of, now you're making a bunch of assumptions that this man was going to attack you. Is that not correct? And the response was, well, he yelled, "Fuck you," and like attacked me. So pretty much just shut that shit down right there with one fucking response. That's how this has gone from the sound of it. The questionable doubt doesn't sound like it's working, but good on them to try, I guess.
Yeah, like from what I've heard, just kind of general chatter about it, I've heard this has not been the prosecution's best day.
No, it doesn't sound like it went well at all. Huh. What a shame. Moving right along. The prosecution relied on graphic videos. Well, yeah, another big shocker. Boy, really dropping the hard-hitting opinions here, New York Times. Mr. Binger laid out the prosecution's case. He replayed in court lengthy videos that were captured on live streams and cell phones that night. Some videos documented downtown Kenosha hours before the shootings when groups of protesters and armed men lingered outside a gas station, churches, and other buildings. Drew has also shown video of the chaos immediately following the shootings, including graphic clips of Mr. Rosenbaum unresponsive and struggling to breathe after being shot. Mr. McGinnis appeared to grow emotional on the witness stand as Mr. Binger played clips of him frantically trying to apply pressure to Mr. Rosenbaum's gunshot wounds. Now, this is completely unsurprising. Of course they were going to show this because they have availability to it. So, yeah, they're going to show this. Anything that they can do to play on the emotions of a jury, they're going to do it. Doesn't matter how graphic or sad or horrific it looks. They're, of course, going to use this because it's documentation of what actually happened, but playing to the strengths of the jury, and that's to gain sympathy from the jury. And it's probably going to work in this regard. So that's probably about the only thing that's probably gone in their favor from the sound of things. But the jury's got to be unbiased when it comes to looking at the evidence. That's the evidence provided, and it probably still shows the same thing we all saw last year when we all watched it together. And that's people attacking another and people defending themselves. So it's going to come down to a personal opinion no matter how many times you watch it.
Yeah, unfortunately, because like to most folks, I mean, it seems like a pretty clear-cut self-defense case, but there's folks that will argue to the ends of the earth that this was some sort of malicious homicide, and it's going to be a jury of his peers that's going to decide it. He's going to be judged by 12, but that's the way that usually goes. So now it's appeared to grow emotional on the witness stand. Oh boy. This, I mean, the guy was trying to save somebody's life, and then they're showing him the footage of it again. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's going to be an emotional roller coaster for the guy. So,
Yeah, that was complete
regardless.
intentional, trying to get an emotional response out of the witness at that point. Like, you can't show somebody footage of what happened to them a year ago when they were going through a bunch of traumatic events of a shooting, regardless of whether or not they instigated it. You show somebody that in front of a crowded room of people, yeah, of course you're going to garner a horribly emotional response. So yeah, it's more sympathy attempts by the prosecution.
So the
Lynn, what do you
article
think?
continues to. All right, Lynn, what do you got? Any thoughts on this, Lynn?
My question is, the other guy, the one that had the gun, the other one that had a gun, was that in play at all? Did they discuss the other gun of the story?
So far, I haven't heard anything about that.
Because didn't he like shoot? Yeah, he shot somebody who was actually pointing a gun at him, right?
Well, no, there was a guy that like fired some. Allegedly, what I heard, somebody was firing a warning shot at him.
Yeah, something like that.
And that was
a warning
what
shot at
caused
him
to turn around and think somebody's, the reason he thought someone might be shooting at him was apparently because someone was shooting at him. And he went with the guy that was yelling "fuck you" and attacking him.
Big Buck and Empire makes a really good point. No, he survived, so that's not in the trial that much. The guy who lost his bicep had a gun.
Yeah, he now that one is not gonna. I don't think the prosecution wants to go with that one too much, because that guy even did like a false surrender, put his hands up, and then when Kyle turned, he drew on him, and so that one's hairy. Like I don't care how you want to look at that. That one's that one was just okay. Now you're both
that clip alone, no matter which side of the fence you're on, even the staunchest of an anti-gun stance that you want to take is going to look at that clip and go, "Oh man, even in this regard, yeah, that's about as cool, calm, and collected as it gets in terms of self-defense." Wow, what a cool cucumber that Kyle Rittenhouse is in that moment. My God,
cool cucumber.
I'm just saying, come on. The guy he's got the drop on the guy. The guy does the false surrender. He turns, gets the draw on him, and he still manages to defend himself like with precision. That is, it's insane to think about how well adapted to the situation, even still today, how well adapted and ready and prepared he was for the situation, considering this is the first time he'd ever been in something like this. And given his age, we're talking about people in law enforcement for years and years who never even come close to sniffing this level of situational awareness.
I mean, you brought it up. He was a cool cucumber, but he was in a pickle. Sorry. Kind of mixed in a little dad jokey shit in there.
That was very, very smooth. I thank you for that. That was beautiful. Very well done.
Wow. I think that one just gave me a cavity. Jesus.
She almost gave me one.
Jesus. Like, I can about imagine. Like, oh, good Lord. So yeah, to me, it looks like the prosecution, but now I'm sure well, before I speak to that, I'll let Tony get a little bit further through this article.
All right. So, yeah, I think this is the last key point the New York Times is going to bring up. Another armed man who had come to Kenosha said he saw Mr. Rittenhouse as underexperienced. Another prosecution witness who said, like Mr. Rittenhouse, had come to Kenosha that night to help protect businesses amid the unrest, told jurors that he met Mr. Rittenhouse that night and considered it part of his responsibility to watch over him. The witness, Ryan Balch, testified that he was a military vet who had been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan and had come from his home north of Milwaukee after demonstrations unfolded in Kenosha. Seemed a little under-equipped and under-experienced, Mr. Balch said of Rittenhouse, who was 17 at the time. Balch added that his sense of Rittenhouse was one of the reasons we kind of stayed with him. Balch said he was concerned that Rittenhouse's youth and the general way he was carrying himself might make him vulnerable on the street. Mr. Balch also seemed to offer testimony that might be favorable to the defense, saying that he had observed Mr. Rosenbaum, before the shooting, appeared to be hyper aggressive and frequently being restrained by others. He testified that Mr. Rosenbaum had threatened him, Mr. Rittenhouse, and others at one point, saying that if he caught any of them alone that night, he would kill them.
Oh,
Well, so that one kind of backfired.
Goodness.
Do you
So
think maybe they should have, asked this guy's opinion before putting him on the stand?
according to crop cover, Kyle Rittenhouse fires into crowd of Antifa, hits 2 pedophiles and a rapist. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Thanks for joining us, crop cover. But yeah, like that last one was like, well, he said if he caught any of us alone, he might try to kill us. So that might be how Kyle got the idea that he's going to try to.
Yeah, that
kill
kind of
him.
negates the prosecution going, you're making plenty of assumptions here on the intent of the attacks that you're alleging.
Except that part where he said he was going to kill anybody that he got alone, and then he got Kyle alone. And
well, Phil, that could mean anything.
Oh, man. Oh, Lord. The prosecution is putting up a really good Big Bucket Empire says the prosecution is putting up a really good defense. Oh, Lord.
Right.
Now, yeah, we will see how this one goes in the coming days, weeks, months. But I think in the end here, like, honestly, if you had to bet a silver dollar on it, do you think Kyle's going to walk or do you think he's going to sit?
Go ahead, Lynn.
he's gonna sit. I don't even know what the jury looks like, but yeah, they probably had their minds made up before the trial started, and that's just my opinion. But yeah, there's been another trial this year that happened that I thought wasn't going to have the same kind of outcome, but it pretty much evidence-based. It didn't care about evidence. It was just straight up what the media wants you to know, and you're going to do what the media tells you to do. And this guy is guilty before everyone.
Okay.
Personal opinion.
Okay. No, that's appreciated. And that's something to keep in mind. I mean, this kid could be going away for fucking life or at least a good chunk if he does get convicted. And these are trials where the court of public opinion does sadly
the media has labeled him a domestic terrorist.
Tony, what's your thoughts? Do you think he's going to walk or he's going to sit?
It's funny looking back because when the Floyd trial, forgive me, what was the officer's name in that? It escapes me at the moment.
Chauvin?
Yeah, Chauvin. At the time, we were all kind of flabbergasted in that moment that it went the way it did because we were kind of expecting it to go the other. And then as soon as it came down, we're like, why didn't we see that coming? Of course it went this way. This one's a little bit harder to gauge at this point, even though it sounds like the prosecution's failing miserably at what they're supposed to be doing. And that's getting a very harsh sentencing for Mr. Rittenhouse. And I think at this point, everybody who would be aware of this situation has known about it for over a year now. Like you said, the court of the public opinion it's been decided for a while. These jurors probably understood the assignment going in and what was expected of them. And they knew all this stuff going in. It's not like they could have avoided this for the last year. So a lot of that's going to play into it. And they're probably not seeing a lot of new information by them showing all these graphic videos, right? It's just a refresher at this point. And you're playing off the emotions of the people there and the people affected by it. And now you've got to demonize this kid in the court to get that sentencing. I feel like he's going to get punished, but I feel it's going to be incredibly light to what it probably could have been. And I say this because as soon as Chicken said this the other day in the group chat, he's like, they're only going after him for like the most minor of things because they have nothing else on him at this point. They're basically admitting that they have nothing else on him. And in that moment, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, they probably don't want this to go in their favor at this point. Because if this goes in their favor and they get a nasty sentence for Kyle Rittenhouse and he goes away for life, well, we can just go, well, pat ourselves in the back for the good guys, quote unquote, right? No, we don't want that. We want a reason to rage. We want a reason to riot. We want a reason to protest. And that's why he's going to get a slap on the wrist. Because once that happens, the sparks and the embers reignite, and we have a reason to riot again. So, get ready for Electric Boogaloo 3.
Damn.
But did you read Chicken's comment there? You just had it up a
He's
little
got a
bit
couple
ago.
here.
The
He said
longer
first,
one.
it's winter
Yeah.
in Wisconsin, hard to riot in the cold. Jurors might not be as scared as other trials were. If Kyle's convicted, I'm changing my career to assistant DA. Will be the easiest and highest paid job. Don't have to prove anything. Can actually sabotage your own case and still win. Yeah, there you go. Wow.
Dang. Yeah, that's we will have to see how this one goes. But again, you got to realize, folks, when it goes in front of a jury, who's to say what way it's going to go? I mean, it's kind of like people who say they can predict a football game. The ball isn't round. It can bounce in any direction. Yeah. Jurors are human just like any one of us. They can be swayed, persuaded. They can have their own ideas about things. So it's just something to keep in mind. There's an Big Bucket Empire says there's an article that describes how this has been handed over from the investigation to the trial. Interesting. This one, the minute I saw it, to me, it looked like a pretty clear-cut case of self-defense. Now the defense is going to do all it can to try and poke holes in that idea, because that's...
and I think it would be, even given the tumultuous times of the culture when this went down, if this wasn't a 17-year-old kid who, let's be frank, didn't need to be there, because like the veteran said, I felt like he was underqualified and underexperienced, and that translates into he didn't need to be there. Now, turns out in the situation, this guy was as level-headed as it comes in terms of handling himself with a firearm. But that's not the point. He was a 17-year-old kid. Cool as a cucumber,
right? Yeah.
He's the bee's knees, Jack. It's a fact. But yeah, no, if this wasn't a 17-year-old kid that literally didn't need to be there, had to travel out of state to get there, I don't think this would be nearly as big of a story as it ended up being, even given the climate of the time that this went down during. I think this would have been handled a lot differently. I think this was supposed to be one of those big snowball effect instances where, well, obviously gun control's needed. We've got 17-year-olds just gunning people down in the street. Let's make it impossible for everybody to buy guns and take some away. It didn't go down like that. And I think this is going to be a big swing and a miss.
Also, when you bring up the whole he drove from out of state, you have to realize it's the same amount of miles you drove to go jump your wife's car today.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree 100%.
It was like 15 miles or so.
Though.
Yeah. But yeah.
So we will see how that goes. And folks, definitely be sure that here at Big Buckin' Empire, we will have the live updates when we know what way Kyle Rittenhouse case is gonna go. So T, what else would you like to touch on? Is there anything else you want to touch on, sir?
I know you guys already kind of talked some football, and I glossed over my thoughts on the college game. Did you talk any pro football at all?
We have not, T.
Oh well,
let it go.
Let's learn some pro football current events, because boy, howdy.
No. Are we about to touch on what I think we're about to touch on?
I mean, I feel like we've kind of got to. It's a current event situation, and boy, my uncle's a big Husker fan, or at least he was back in the day, because that's when they were winning. But he's always been a diehard Raiders fan, and boy, when the Raiders hired John Gruden the same year that Nebraska hired Scott Frost, it was just like a double whammy of good luck. Well, we know how the Scott Frost thing's panned out, and the Raiders just let go of John Gruden because of a bunch of emails, and let me tell you, it's not getting any better for the Raiders. because Henry Ruggs III drove 156 miles an hour seconds before fatally killing somebody in an automobile crash. Yeah, that just happened.
Under
That
the
just,
influence or just speeding or what?
well, I'm
So
pretty sure. he
wait.
was
So did this
fucked
just
up.
happen, or was this revealed because of emails?
No, this was just the other day. This just happened.
God
Yep.
damn.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, former, and that is key word here, former, because he's already fucking been axed. Former Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs III was driving 156 miles an hour with a blood alcohol content twice Nevada's legal limit before his car slammed into the rear of a vehicle that burned, killing 23-year-old woman, according to prosecutors. Ruggs, 22, remained seated in a wheelchair with a foam brace on his neck and jail guards at his elbows during his initial court appearance Wednesday on pending felony charges of driving under the influence of alcohol, resulting in death, and reckless driving. Vegas Justice of the Peace Joe M. Bonaventure said he was troubled by his initial review of the case against Ruggs, adding that in 16 years on the bench, he'd never heard of a crash involving a vehicle traveling so fast. Nevertheless, he rejected prosecutor Eric Bauman's request to set Ruggs' bail at $1 million and instead set the amount at $150,000 with strict conditions to include home confinement, electronic monitoring, no alcohol, no driving, and the surrender of Ruggs' passport. Court records showed that Ruggs posted the $150,000 bond a short time later. His lawyer said he was released from jail Wednesday evening. Now, none of that sounds good, does it?
No.
Yeah, that's fucking awful.
That's absolutely terrible.
That guy's gonna do some time, and rightly so.
It's just during an era where the NFL's looked at so poorly, when a story like this comes out, it just reminds you that this guy's 22.
Yeah, they're just kids with a lot of money.
Exactly. You're talking about a guy who was just playing in college. And he had an entire professional career ahead of him, which, let's be frank, as a receiver is like 5 to 10 years tops. But that doesn't matter. He's going to make lifetimes of money doing just that, to play a game. But yeah, it's still just
Not
a 22-year-old kid with oodles of money pouring out every orifice of his body at this point, and they're still going to do stupid shit. And when you give a 22-year-old gobs of money, when you get signed to play in the NFL, you get that money hand over foot. Shit like this is bound to happen.
Like, does anybody have a better example of like a story of don't drink and drive? This kid
not at that speed.
This kid literally had everything in front of him,
and
now it's all gone.
Yeah, Poof. And that's just it. Taking everything out of account, yes, the Las Vegas Raiders started the season playing very, very well. And they're still playing pretty well, all things considered. But they lost their coach in an email scandal who's going to end up suing Goodell and the league because of the leak itself. Now it's just one thing after another. But a 22-year-old kid who just started his playing career and makes a horrible mistake like this. Twice the legal limit in Nevada. I want to look up and see what that even means, because I can only assume. What is the legal limit for alcohol?
It's probably 07 or 08. Yeah.
0.08.
That'd be my guess.
That's the federal standard.
Let's see. Nevada's blood alcohol limit is 0.08 and 0.04 for commercial drivers. So twice that. Wow. Ugh. And all I'm gathering here is he had a Corvette. That's the best I can find. Yeah. So, yeah, we're talking about a 0.16 blood alcohol content, driving a Corvette with clearly no governor. Actually, if you want to look at it objectively, yeah, it's terrible what happened, and his life is completely ruined, and he's fucked. But it's an amazing situation but only one person lost their life.
Yeah, but like Big Bucket Empire said here, unfortunately, this lady was essentially burned alive in this fucking accident. So, yeah, I mean, Jesus fuck, man. Like this, that guy. You're gonna bury him under the jail.
Yeah.
It's vehicular homicide. He'll probably get 3 to 5 years.
He is an NFL player. They tend to skid on these things, unfortunately.
No, that's the going rate, man.
Mm.
You get more
Helps
time
have a
dealing.
bunch of money.
You have more time dealing drugs than you will fucking killing a person.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. A couple ounces of pot. That's way bigger offense.
This is, I mean, vehicular homicide is right up there with like, you know, like
Shit.
like child molestation. They only get 3 to 5 years. But
Yeah.
drug offenses, got to throw the book at them. My whole legal system issue is just kind of I don't get it.
Heather, I don't know how one would even live with yourself after such a thing. That would
to know that you made such an egregious mistake and cost somebody their life in such a horrific way. Yeah,
I'm gonna pull out a crystal ball here and say within 5 years they're gonna have an interview with him, how he found Jesus while he was in prison, and he's got everything on track, and he's gonna take care of all of his demons and everything. Yeah,
that's generally correct. Yeah, that's
he's gonna do whatever he can to make parole. And, yeah.
You hate to see somebody's life ruined by this, but you hate to see them cause somebody else's life to be ended in such a horrific and spontaneous way like this. Like,
because at 150 miles an hour, there ain't you can't even fucking react when you see those lights coming up in your fucking rear view.
No.
And he'll be out before he's 30.
God, that it's a modern day Othello. It's a tragedy, no matter which way you want to look at it. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So from the college game to the pro game, boy, we shifted that significantly. But like you said, it's kids with money. Now, man,
we got anything fun to talk about? Sorry, I didn't mean to drop.
Oh yes, I was going to ask Tony, how's your favorite team that you're wearing a hat for? How's Netflix?
Netflix, I'm more of an.
It looks like a Netflix logo. I'm sorry.
More of an Amazon Prime guy myself.
Yeah. He likes Invincible more than like what they
big
got.
Big fan of The Boys.
Yeah,
they've got. I can watch House on Amazon Prime.
He likes it better than the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. Like Netflix and Amazon Prime and the like. They're how people are getting their commonality back, because that was a big thing with the internet, was like we lost the commonality of things like Garfield. Like if you were to go back 40 years, everybody, even if they didn't like Garfield, they thought it was dumb, is like everybody had some cultural frame of reference to Garfield.
Yeah.
And now there is no Garfield of our current generation. And so that's what Netflix in a weird way and Amazon Prime have kind of given us back.
It's weird to look at where we're at with options for entertainment now to where we were, say, 5, even 10 years ago. Actually, look back when people started first cutting the cord to cable, right? Like the taboo term, I'm cutting the cord. And people looked at you like you were crazy. Like, how are you going to be able to do that? Well, the people that did it early, and Chicken was one of them, did it and never really looked back because they didn't have to, because it just got better and better, and it evolved very, very quickly. What we always wanted when we had cable was a service that allowed you to pick and choose the channels that you wanted to have. And instead of having to have 30 channels that you're never going to watch, but have to pay extra for one of those channels, we never got that option because we went straight from satellite to cable to streaming. And now, it was when streaming really got big, they were all kind of offering the same thing, but just different formats. Okay, well, I can buy these two, and it's still going to be like half the price of cable, so it's not a big deal. But we're getting to the point where if you don't have all of the major streaming services, you don't have access to all the entertainment now, because Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime are all putting in effort to make original movies and series and documentaries. You have to have access to these things if you want to have.
Don't forget Disney Plus,
and of course, yes, Disney Plus,
the Mandalorian,
the market cornered on Marvel and Star Wars, which is huge, and Disney.
I just call that the Mandalorian app.
Yeah, that or the Marvel app, depending on the mood you're in. But yeah, it's amazing to think, because now that they're making their own original content, and the content that's not shit like Netflix was kind of known for. Yeah, it's weird to think, because now it's not just having access to the channel you want. You're paying for an entirely different service. So it'll be interesting to see what the next step in this evolution of streaming is. I'll get that.
Well, I was just gonna say, no, don't share your usernames. Like, big bucking.
I'll take care of that.
But yeah, that's gonna be the next level, and I think it's just really a matter of where does WWE land. But now, really though, folks, the best place to be to get your information and your entertainment is right here, Big Buckin' Empire. Yes, be sure, like, share, subscribe, folks. I mean, come on, you know it's the right thing to do. You know it's the best course of action. Big Buckin' Empire, and also go over to the backup channel, Dog and Chicken Show. That's also the backup channel for when we eventually, who knows when, but eventually get pulled down here. That's the backup channel, folks. You know it's the right thing to do. And Tony, he's become the invisible man, speaking of franchises. But to me, I think we got some very interesting new frontiers and entertainment and cultural commonality coming over the hills here, folks, because like I said, we've got two new cultures that are emerging here in America and probably throughout the entire West and the entire world. So we will have to see how that evolves. Tony, what are you working on over there? I've got to know. Inquiring minds need to know.
Well, you've got all the YouTube channels there scrolling at the bottom on a subscriber drive. I thought it'd only be helpful for us to have our TikTok usernames right there on the screen as well.
Well,
because I'm on the drive to 1,000. I'm only like 575 away. I took a big bump in the last couple of weeks here, and I'm only like 95 views away from having my first 10,000 time viewed TikTok. So pretty stoked for that milestone.
Well, shit, fire, and save me matches. Thank you for putting that up, T. And yes, folks, and join me and Lynn in the drive to 500 followers on TikTok. And join Tony. He just needs another 500 to make it to a solid 1,000, to make it to that platinum number, folks. Come on, you know it's the right thing. Be sure to follow all of these. Now, Tony, before I do what I do, is there anything else you'd like to address to the vast majority of the people out there?
No, I think we covered even a lot in my short hour that I got to jump on, and what a fun evening it's been.
Well, then,
sorry I was late.
Lynn, anything you'd like to say to the people?
I think you pretty much covered all the plugs and everything, so good job on that. We've learned a lot tonight. It all depends on what we're talking about. But needless to say, we all learned something that, Tony's got enough privilege that, he survived an encounter by the police and came back home. So good job, Tony.
Good.
And God, I know. I'm not even drinking and I'm saying shit I shouldn't. But hey, you know how it goes.
Oh, do we have a post show ready to go here, T?
I do have a post show link. I don't
Look
know
at that. There we go.
What that's going to be, but if anybody has anything else to contribute, I do have a post show link.
Well, folks, if that's the case, then as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us for episode 112, Poultry Free episode 4. Folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us here at Big Buckin' Empire. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, Big Buckin' Empire. Be sure to head over to Big Buckin' Empire on Facebook and then go to the backup channel, Dog and Chicken Show on YouTube, folks. You can catch all of the marvelous, big, buckin', lovingly, graciously made for you content, folks. Also, I am your King of Extreme, Phil KOE, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower, Phil KOE. You can find me at KOE Nation on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, KOE Nation, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok, folks. That's where you can find me. Also, you can go to Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, Yanked Up Podcast, Dad's Worldwide, Norwalk IRL. Be sure, yes, Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, and last but certainly not least, Tony the Rod 2.0, Westlin 4 on TikTok, folks. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow every last one of these marvelous pages that I've listed off for you, folks. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. I hope to find every last one of you back here happy, healthy, much the wiser. Tony, Lynn, take it away.
As always, good night. Love you. Bye.
See if it just smooths itself out.
Back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost. We gotta take it down. Let you down slow. It's hard to survive. El Dorado. Oh, Lord.